All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. We are so happy that you can join us this evening for this session on From Free to Fee. So who's excited for this information tonight? We have three amazing panelists who are going to share their expertise. They are all professional speakers, they're seasoned, they've been doing this a while, and they're here to share their expertise with you. So if you're starting a speaking profession or adding a speaking business into your career, you will get a lot out of this evening. So who are we? We are the National Speakers Association's New York City chapter. And although we are in New York City, we have a bunch of fabulous members from New Jersey.
Yeah,
So if you are a member from New Jersey, would you mind standing up, please? Yes. So these fine ladies and gentlemen cross the river on a monthly basis down to all the way over by Grand Central to learn with us every single month. We have monthly meetings where we learn from seasoned professionals. We have masterminds, we have master classes, we have a mentorship program, we have Speaker University. So we hope that they are enjoying us crossing over into New Jersey to come to Montclair to you this evening. They thought that this particular topic would be of great interest to their friends and other people in the community, and we hope that it is helpful to you as well. So if you do like this evening's session, please stay after. We're going to share a little bit of the members' benefits, and you can certainly ask any of us questions that are on the board. Members of the organization, we're happy to chat with you about upcoming programming.
Courtney.
Yes.
You will notice that everybody that is on the board of the NSA that's here today, their names are written in purple. So you will notice that. If your name is written in green, you will see an M or a G at the bottom. That means member or guest. So if you are a guest and you have a question, look for a member or a board member in that way. I spent a lot of time writing on name tags.
Yes, the lady in charge of the name tags today. She knows all of your names by now. Yes, all of them.
I know you.
So our moderator this evening is from New Jersey, and you helped put on this event. Thank you so much. Her name is Casey Carpenter. Casey is the CEO and founder of Speak and Own It Communications. As someone who is afraid to speak up, Casey shows others how to elevate their leadership voices. She works with business leaders who need to make an unforgettable impression when speaking, when they don't get any do-overs. Yeah. So Casey, please welcome to the stage.
All right, Casey.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's so good to see you. What I would like to do is invite my esteemed panelists to come on up here. So Robin Hatcher, okay, I'm going to take this seat here because I need to have you all on my right side. So Robin, come on up. Mike, come on up. Kate's already here.
Can I just ask real quick for a little shout out for Casey, for the people in the room that came especially to see her?
Oh, okay. All right.
Love you.
Thank you. I love you too. Did I ever do it? Oh, let's stay focused. So let me first go ahead and introduce my fabulous panelists from whom we will learn a lot this evening. Immediately to my right, we have Robin Hatcher. Well, first of all, Robin is immediate past president of this chapter. So we're honored to have her in that respect. And a little bit about her background. Robin's a former actor and soap opera writer that was once paid to create drama. And now she dedicates her messages to helping leaders eliminate workplace drama. Let's welcome Robin. Next, we have Mike Goldman. Now, Mike's claim to fame is he is a TEDx speaker. I know, super cool. So if you want to ask him about that, you can do that. And he's the author of 2 books, Breakthrough Leadership Team and Performance Breakthrough. So we're happy to have Mike. Let's welcome him again. And we have the lovely and inimitable Kate Donovan, who is the creator of, have you all heard of this podcast? She is fierce. It is called Fried, the Burnout Podcast. Kate, how many downloads have happened on Fried?
We're working towards 1 million right now.
So you see how we are truly bringing it for you all tonight, right? We are bringing it. What else can I share about Kate? Well, what you want to know is that she shows her audiences how to flip the script on burnout in the workplace and how we can really do it together. And then, of course, you have me, your humble and faithful moderator. So let's get started. Let's begin. Oh, we can, okay.
Thank you. Public Works.
We're a little casual around here, just in case you missed.
All right, Courtney said we need to turn up. Turn up in here. All right, so here's my first question. And then I'll decide who we can have answer it, and then we'll have the panelists pick the next panelist. Why don't we do that? Mix it up a little bit, make it fun. We don't want to have a panel where we just go boringly down the line. Nobody wants that. All right, so here's my first. What's that?
I promise to pick you.
What? All right, so just for that, I'm starting with you, Robin. So what I'm hoping that you can do is for our guest tonight is describe your business. So I want you to describe your business and how did you come to speaking? And was it something you intentionally sought out? Was it organic? How did it evolve for you? So yes, you're going to be first, and then you're going to pick who goes next.
Ooh.
Okay. Time limit?
Well, you know what? Okay, so no, that's an awesome question. We have the we have my iPad there with the clock, so that all of you panelists can see. If you get a little long-winded, I'm going to lean forward and give you the eye.
Okay.
All right.
I'll start playing music.
Well, here we have music, but here's the thing. Well, we put the eye like this. So we know that we want to really have everything wrapped with Q&A by 8, and we want to leave an extra half hour for you all so you can connect after, you can network, you can say hi to friends you haven't seen. All right? Cool?
All right.
Okay,
Let's go.
let's do it.
Okay, my business. I do speaking, coaching, and workshop training. So I do all three almost equally. So I do keynote speaking for conferences and organizations. I have several organizations, one that I've been working with for 20 years, where I do all of their leadership training and their executive coaching. I have some newer clients that I go in and I do leadership workshops for them. I've been with that client for 3 years. And I also go and I do executive coaching for them. So I work with companies like Con Edison, Global Industrial, and my coaching is mostly executive coaching right now. But I have done and I do individual coaching as well. The keynotes, I work with any kind of conference, and I'm doing some MC work this year as well. How I got started, as you heard, I was an actress. I'm a recovering actor, I like to say. You know, I acted for more years than I would like to admit. And one of the side jobs that I had as an actor was teaching English as a second language. And as I taught English as a second language, I got really super bored about it, teaching grammar and all that stuff. So I thought, what if I taught them how to speak as public speaking? So I created my own public speaking class at Baruch College, and it was extremely successful. Then I was asked to talk it to the native speakers, teach it to the native speakers. Started doing that, and I started falling in love with the art of communication, the art of presentation. So I really dig down deep into that. So I started teaching presentation skills, which then led me to public speaking. And then somebody said, oh, you could make a living at this. And somebody introduced me to NSA, and that's how I got here. So what you really want to know is that wherever you are, you're planting a seed. And that seed may grow into something that you have no idea it's going to grow into. So keep planting seeds. Yeah. And I'm going to turn my mic over to Mike.
Wait, before you do, I have something I have to say.
You have a follow-up question.
Before you do. Not a follow-up question, but just a comment that it sounds like your journey was not linear at all. Like, when you were teaching English as a second language, did you know that this was where you were going to go?
Right, great question. No idea. What I did know that when I was in front of the classroom, I was happy.
Yeah.
So being in front of the classroom, seeing the impact that I was having, you know, I had this really creative thing that I would do, and I would have them do debates, and then I decided that I would have them do debates for the entire school. And I saw the impact that I had with what I was doing. And that fed me, the feedback that I got from people, from students, and I thought, oh my gosh, I am making a difference in these students' lives. So I want to continue doing that. And then the soap writing happened too, so talk about that later. Yeah, I wrote for All My Children and One Life to Live for several years, and now I incorporate all that. Any other questions?
No, please pass the
See,
mic.
I'm being succinct, Kate.
I think we should let the audience judge. Robin,
All right, passing the mic to Mike.
See, speakers like to speak, so you gotta grab the mic.
Do I need to repeat the question, or are we good?
No, I think I remember. So, some of you know Phil Jones, who is this mic sound okay? It feels weird.
It's really loud.
What's that?
Let me fix it. We're also close to that speaker behind you.
Oh.
I could just talk like this.
Yeah, but then we won't have it for the video.
Okay, is that okay? Is that better? That may be
Yes,
better. Okay. So Phil Jones, who some of you know, asked me a couple years ago, he said, Mike, are you a coach that speaks or a speaker that coaches? And for me, very clearly, the question is what business I'm in. I'm a coach that speaks. So my whole business, my whole brand is I help build great leadership teams. I'm a leadership team coach. I work with mid-market companies that want to grow. I help them grow by building a great leadership team. I have long-term relationships with my clients. I have a couple of clients where I am in year 10 of working with their leadership team every single quarter to help them plan and create a strategic plan, assess their talent, figure out what their top priorities are. So that's my main business, and will probably be my main business for a long time. Speaking for me is also a revenue stream, but more than a revenue stream, it's a little bit more of a means to an end for me. It's not the end. I am not, right now my goal is not to build a keynote business, which is my primary revenue stream. Although one of the reasons why I joined NSA about 5 years ago, whenever it was, is because I do want to do more speaking, not just as, or at the time I did want to do more speaking, not just as a means to an end, but as a revenue stream as well. And I've been able to do both of those things. But I know there are some of you here who sometimes might think, hey, I'm not sure if I belong at the NSA because speaking is only a small part of what I do. And man, it's been incredible value for me, and that's not my primary revenue stream. The way I happened upon speaking was probably about 20 years ago. I had just started my coaching business and really had no business and needed to find a way to get out there, and decided I was going to call about 24 Rotary clubs because they're always looking for speakers for their breakfast, for their lunch, to go up there and talk for 15 minutes, and sometimes it's 2 people listening in front and 2 old guys sleeping in the back, and I don't know who's in the middle, but I was told, hey, Rotaries are great for practice. I went to my first Rotary in Hillsdale, New Jersey, and from that meeting, the next day got my first coaching client. And I thought, holy crap, this coaching business is going to be easy and speaking is going to be easy. Now, by the way, I did not get another client for 6 months. So it's not that easy. But I started with the Rotary, doing it totally for free, and then kind of built on from there. And now it's a significant part of what I do, but it's not my primary revenue stream.
Speaking found me. I didn't find speaking. So my first speaking gig, my friends own, I was living in Warsaw in Poland, and my friends own a leadership training company. And they said, we need somebody to go teach stress management to a group of C-suite leaders that are flying in from all over the world, but it needs to be in English. Will you go? Now, at the time, I was a full-time acupuncturist. That's my background. So my degree is in Chinese medicine. And so stress management is built into what we do. It's the whole medicine, really. So I went and I did this presentation and it went really well. And then I didn't really speak again unless I was teaching acupuncture for about 10 years. I moved back to the States knowing that I wanted to dip into it further, really hit the ground running, or I thought, got nowhere. My first speaking gig came because I created an event for Montclair about burnout, and no one bought any tickets. I was doing it at the coffee shop. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so no one bought any tickets. I didn't sell any tickets, but someone who was looking for a speaker on burnout saw the Eventbrite for that event that never happened and paid me to be their speaker. And that was my first paid speaking gig in the US.
Wow.
So you never know where it's coming from. You never know where it's coming from. Speaking is my primary income in my business. My secondary income is coaching. Most of the coaching in my business is done by someone else. So I am paying someone else to do the coaching. I am not doing most of it myself.
That's awesome.
But I would not have a speaking business at all without the NSA.
Wow.
Yeah, you learned a lot from going to conferences and such.
I learned a lot just from showing up to the meetings.
Yeah.
From the moment, the first year that I was speaking, like really I made $27,000 speaking. And I was like, okay, well I can't eat, but it's something. And then I joined NSA October of that year, and the following year I made 54.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
thought, okay, all right. I mean, I live in Montclair, I still can't eat, but we're getting there.
All right, so the title of our event is From Free to Fee, right? So I'm hoping that you all can dig a little bit deeper into your free to fee. You all try saying
Let's not
that.
go backwards,
Yeah.
please.
A little bit, and
Mama needs to eat.
well, give everybody here some idea of what they can expect today out there, trying to eke out a speaking business. So Mike, you're looking at me intently. I'm gonna throw this one over to you. I'm gonna punt this to you. So free to fee journey, what did yours look like?
Yeah, well, I've already mentioned some of it.
You did.
Rotaries don't pay you a whole lot. I did get a free lunch, so I wasn't able to eat. So maybe that's better than 27 grand, as I was able to eat. But it started with, it was probably 40 or 50 rotaries doing 10 or 15 minutes. And getting that one client. I'm not sure I got another client from Rotary, but it got me used to doing that. From there, someone said, hey, you'd be great for my chamber. Okay, another free thing. Went to speak at the chamber, and the more I did, the more comfortable I got on stage. The more I did, the more I got opportunities to get paid a little bit. But frankly, for me, even getting paid a little bit, depending on what your business model looks like, right? And again, my primary model is coaching, the opposite of Kate's. My primary is coaching. My secondary, by far, is by far in second place is speaking. So, as an example, has anybody heard of a group called Vistage?
Yeah.
So if you haven't, Vistage, there are about, I think, 1,500 Vistage locations around the country, and then sister organizations in Canada and Europe, that they are small groups of CEOs, 15 CEOs that get together once a month. So I don't do those for free, but I have done 45 of those over the last 2 years. I got my next one coming up in September. 45 of those in the last 2 years. It's not free, but I get paid a whopping $500 plus travel expenses. I have made more money from the clients I have brought on to my coaching practice. I would pay them $5,000 a gig to do those for the money that I brought on. So it's not only, yes, it's about doing a whole bunch of free or near free speaking so you get comfortable, so you get good, so you could own the stage, so people can see you. But depending on your business model, it may also be so you can get other really good gigs, coaching, consulting, training, whatever it is for you, there's a whole bunch of great stuff that comes out of that.
I want to double click on something. You were pretty intent on telling us 45 Vistage talks. So what I want to know is what's your mindset like?
In what way?
Meaning,
My mindset's wonderful.
well, I know, because I know you and I know what kind of person you are, but I mean, I'm thinking of expectations. So, all right, we can keep it real here, right, Jersey? We're gonna keep it real?
Yeah.
I walked into NSA maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, and I thought, ooh, all these people are gonna be my clients, and they're gonna sign up for my coaching, and they're gonna hire me. What? So it's all in how you're kind of showing up and processing and frankly being realistic about expectations. So I want to know a little bit more about your mindset with that, your expectations.
Yeah, and this may sound a little, fluffy's not the right word, I can't think of the word, but my mindset when I go and speak to groups like these Vistage groups, or back a couple of months ago I did something similar with Women Presidents Organization is another, those groups of CEOs are perfect for me. I don't go there with the expectation, hey, this is going to be a waste of time if I don't get a client. Now, by the way, in November, I'm going to Boise, Idaho for 5 days to talk to 5 different Vistage groups. Now, by the way, I probably should have said no to that one, but I'm okay doing that or speaking to a women's president's organization without an expectation, because most groups I speak to, I don't get a client. My business model is one where I have a small number of clients and I charge each one of my clients
Enough.
a lot. So I have 9 clients that I work really deeply with, and then a whole bunch of little workshops I do. So I can't handle getting a gig every time I go out and speak, but I know if I'm out there and I'm adding value, it's gonna come back to me. And I don't mean karma is gonna come back to me, yeah, but what I mean is it's gonna come back to me because I get calls 6 months later. Hey, you talked about this, maybe you can help my team with this. You talked about this, I know someone who runs this association, they'd love you to come and speak. So it's more about adding value, not having those expectations, and frankly, when I don't have those expectations, let me take the opposite way. When I have expectations, or I have needs to, oh my God, from this gig, I need to get a client. I become the worst salesperson. I'm a dog begging for a bone, right? And it's like, well, what do you mean you can't afford it? What if I did it for a cheaper price? What if we only met twice a year instead of 4 times a year? But when my attitude is, look, if they're not ready for what I have, that's good. Who's next? I got another gig in Dallas coming up where I'm going to meet with 18 other CEOs. Somebody from there might be ready. And the more I'm willing to let it go and say they may just not be ready for me. It's got that millionaire mentality. The more I've got that, the much better I am at what I do.
Thank you. You may pass the mic, sir.
One of my first speaking gigs was at a chamber. Yeah. And the other ways is I joined a bunch of entrepreneurial groups, women's groups. And so I would speak at some of their side events. And what that does is it put my name out there. It made people see me as a speaker, and the networking comes from that. I can't tell you how many people have called me 5 years after having seen me speak. 5 years. And they just remember that I was a speaker that they liked. They have no idea what I spoke about. They have no idea whether it was good or not, but they remember that I was a speaker that they liked, and they called me back. So it's all about, so speaking for free has all of those perks. I will still occasionally do speaking for free if it is the type of audience that I know is going to either refer me, think about me, or have another perk involved. Like sometimes you can speak for free to get a great video. Sometimes you can speak for free to get the great social media posts, because that's what it is. You know, so there are very good reasons for speaking for free, and like Mike mentioned, to practice is a really great way of doing it.
So it sounds like you're being strategic.
Yes, now I'm being strategic. There was a time when I said yes to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my years of yes, and then I have my years of no. And your years of yes are just like what I talked about with the seeds. Like, hey, I need to plant some more seeds. And getting referrals or getting relationships is so important, and that comes from free speaking as well as it comes from the paid speaking. You know, I just said hello to somebody at our conference because we had a mutual connection. 2 days later, she referred me to a job that she couldn't do.
Nice.
I don't do a lot of speaking for free. I find that oftentimes I don't, if you are not understanding what your value is that you're getting back from the get-go, you can go in and be generous like Mike is, but a lot of people that I know will feel resentful in that moment instead. They'll show up and they'll be like, well, I'm here, I'm giving, I don't know what I'm getting out of this. So if I'm not getting money, I am really careful about making sure that I'm getting something.
Right.
In the various NSA groups across the states and in the national group, people have created lists of things that you can ask for instead of a fee. But getting to the point where you start understanding that you showing up is worth something to people and you deserve to get something for it is a critical mindset piece that I find holds a lot of people back. So if you are not looking at it and saying, my rule for saying yes to things is, can I say yes to this and still feel full in my generosity when I'm on stage? If saying yes to this interferes with my feelings of generosity, that means I don't actually want to do it. I'm going to be resentful, and then I'm going to sound like a jerk on stage. Even if I don't want to, because my energy's not going to be right.
Right.
So this is how I start to assess. And then when I say, no, I will feel generous up there, I'm ready to go, then I see, what can I squeeze out of this? Robin mentioned video.
Yeah.
Video is one of the most important things you need to get as a speaker, and it is incredibly difficult to get. Not everybody wants you to have a camera, not everybody will provide the footage for you, not everybody has releases for their audience to be seen. There's all these reasons why it's hard to get video, but it's hard to get hired without it. So if you can speak for free for a few months and get video at every single session, that will help you crush it as a speaker in the future. But you have to know why you are doing a particular thing, what is your intent, what is the value, and what are you getting.
And that goes for even when you're getting paid.
Yeah,
what
yeah,
Kate
for
is saying
sure.
is like sometimes, you know, people will call and say, can you do this gig? And it's not really your wheelhouse, but you say yes anyway, and it's not a good idea. You know, there are so many people out there that speak. So, I mean, call somebody else that is in their wheelhouse. Because just like Kate said, you're gonna be up there, you're gonna feel ridiculous because you're not really prepared for it, and you're not going to be giving your greatest value.
Yeah. And one of the best ways to build your speaking business is on referral from your previous speaking gigs once they start rolling. So if you do not get up there and smash it, no one is going to refer you. If no one refers you, there's an unwritten rule because of one of the greats in the speaking world. It's a guy named, two guys that wrote a book, Michael Port and Andrew Davis. The book is called The Referable Speaker. And their rule is that if you're not getting 3 to 4 stage side leads after every talk that you do, it wasn't good enough. You weren't good enough up there. So if you're going to use free speaking in the beginning, maybe then that's your goal. Will 4 people approach me after this and let me know that they would love for me to come see them? And that's how you can start to judge for yourself. Am I putting enough value out there? Are people catching what I'm throwing out in a way that makes me desirable?
Just to add on to that, set that as a goal. However, don't be discouraged when it doesn't happen
No, it's just
early
part of the
on.
learning process.
If you are newer to speaking, or even if you've been doing it for years, but you've been dabbling, and now you're saying, I want to get serious, you may have to do a whole bunch, whether they're free, whether they're paying a little bit. You're gonna have to do a whole bunch potentially before you start getting those stage side leads. So when you don't get them, as opposed to saying, well, I guess this isn't working, or I guess I'm no good at that, learn from it. What do I need to do differently next time?
And remember what I said, 5 years. People have called me 5 years after. So stay excited doesn't mean that it's the next day or the next week or the next month. It means that they're, like, people buy when they're ready, and sometimes you just have to say, they're not ready yet. And 5 years from now, maybe they'll be ready.
Wise counsel, indeed. All right, so let's change gears a little bit. I want you all to remember back to that first year that you were in speaking, that you were, learning, honing your chops. What is one thing that you really wish you knew that you know now? You, Kate, go. Yeah.
The most important part of your business is speaker friends. Speaker friends.
Yes.
I did a count, we had a big event in the city a couple of weeks ago, and I did a count before I went. And since I've joined the NSA, I have recommended other people for $40,000 worth of speaking gigs. And I recommend them because I know them, and I trust them, and I've seen them. And I feel good about that. You will get referrals from the stage, but you will also get referrals from your speaking community. It took me over 2 years in the NSA to get my first referral, because you are not just gonna get referred just from being a member, because I don't know you on stage. I can't, no way. There has to be a moment where I'm able to see you, where there's a video that comes out, where you do a 2-minute share at one of our monthly meetings, and I see what you can, if you can give me fire in 2 minutes, I'm not worried about recommending you for an hour. You're okay. But I didn't understand really in the beginning. I thought, I'm gonna start speaking, people are gonna love me, and it's gonna spread like wildfire. It did not. And so, but I do think that the most important part of this process has been the speaker friends for referrals, and also because there's those moments where you need to call somebody and be like, am I doing this right? And you can't call somebody that doesn't understand what you're going through.
Exactly.
You ready?
It's up to you, who are you giving it to?
As a follow-up, yeah. Yeah, I remember when I went to my first NSA meeting and I didn't join because I don't need them. They're all speakers. Why am I gonna be around other speakers? They're gonna
They're my competition.
they're my competition, and it's like, And so I would go to a meeting, and then I would leave, and then I would go to a meeting maybe 3 months later, and then I would leave, and I would try to do my stuff. Then I would go, and finally, I realized, like, once I joined about 8 or 9 years ago, I realized, I could have had a V8. It's like everything made so much more sense. It was so much easier. I got to learn, I got immersed, because it's a lonely business. And even just if it's not about the referrals, it's about asking somebody, how do you do that? Oh, okay, great. Can you, and people in NSA are extremely generous to a fault. So what is it? Somebody just wanted to know, Aisha, wanted to know about contracts. And she asked me during one of our mastermind meetings. Facebook page, everybody sent the contract samples of what it would be like. You can Google that, but you're not gonna trust it as much as you would trust somebody who's actually doing the work.
So I think for all of us, it's about the community. I'll take a little bit of a different tack, though. It's not so much for the referrals. For me, for many years, and I was a management consultant for the first 15 or so years of my life. So I wasn't doing public speaking, but I was up talking in front of clients or teams a good amount. And in my mind, I'm naturally a great speaker. Like, I don't know why people have to work at it. I'm naturally wonderful at this. Until I got around people who were really friggin' good. And I said, holy crap, I'm naturally okay at this. And here's the other thing that happened to me is when I said I'm naturally okay, and when I did say, okay, I need to find ways to get better, for the first time, I went and did some training on how to be a better speaker. And for about a year, just to prepare if any of you decide to do what I did, and I did some real heavy-duty training in a couple of different ways. I was in Whistler, British Columbia for 17 days. I mean, this is serious stuff. For about a year, I became a much worse speaker than I was before. Because I went from naturally being pretty good, not great, but I went from naturally being pretty good to now thinking too much about all the things I learned, and I'm moving my hands too much, and I'm walking around the stage too much, and I gotta stay still, and I'm not doing this. And all of a sudden I went from, I always used to tell people that, and it's true now, and it was true then, but for about a year it wasn't true, is I am much more comfortable. I will tell you, I'm more comfortable right now doing this than I am meeting any of you one-on-one. I've always been more comfortable, and you could put me in front of 1,000 people, I'm more comfortable than if you said, oh, you've got to go meet her in the corner. You have, shoot me, like I don't want to do that.
Don't say that in Jersey,
So,
Mike, you
yeah,
go
exactly. So what happened is I got worse for about a year because I was thinking so much about everything I was doing. But then what happened is all of that stuff that wasn't natural anymore started, as I was up doing more and more speaking, all that became natural. So I kind of started here, went down here, and then after a year shot up here. Now, I've got a lot more shooting up to do. That sounds like I'm a drug addict. But there's a whole lot more improving I need to do, and my drug dependency is almost gone. But anyway, that maybe for those of you that are going through some kind of training and speaking, if you're like me, be prepared to get worse before you get better, but have patience.
Yeah, I would just, before we move on to the next question, say that at one of our national meetings, we have 2 a year, one in the winter and one in the summer. There was a woman on stage, her name is Meredith Elliott Powell, and she's been speaking for 40 years, and she has a multi-million-dollar business. And she was on stage talking about her speaking coach.
Yeah.
Let that sit for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
She said, oh, I needed some help writing my new keynote and then performing it. So she had a keynote coach and then a speaking coach. She is a multi-millionaire speaker. And she's still growing. It's one of my favorite things about the speaking business, actually. You don't ever stop learning and growing and improving and
So let's do one more question before we open it up to you all. Our wonderful guests. You must have questions, yes?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good. So my final question to you, dear panelists.
bless you.
I sound like Bridgerton, dear panelists.
Dear gentle panelists.
Yes. My question is,
Oh, shut up, you love it.
what if you can frame it up in one sentence? Okay.
We're speakers, Casey.
I'm gonna take the over.
All right. So, parting words. What's your advice for anyone who's looking to get into the speaking business today? What's your advice?
Does it have to be all sentence?
No, you can talk. Go ahead.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2. No, go ahead. Whatever, say whatever you need to say.
Did your brain just go blank?
It did. I had something really brilliant to say.
Not everyone will agree what I'm about to say, but it's okay. This is advice it's good advice for me and people that may be looking to build a certain kind of business. I think it is super important to have a business model that gives you something significant in addition to speaking. I have met far too many people who got advice that they're really good at speaking, they ought to build a speaking business, and they quit their job to build a speaking business. And they struggle.
Made $27,000
$27,000.
each.
And people have gotten that advice, and I'm like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have quit so soon. And so, it's going to take some time to get started, and you've got to have patience, because if you need that money right away, you're going to screw this up, and you're going to wind up getting a job you don't like. I also think, I mentioned when I first started that, when I was asked the question, are you a speaker that coaches or a coach that speaks? And I think I'll always be a coach that speaks, because the speaking life, the best keynoters that are in the $1 Million Club, whatever it is, are up on stage 70, 80, 90 times a year. If that's what you want to do, that's great. That's not the kind of life I want to lead. So I think it's important to have a business model where speaking is a part of it. It may be your primary. It's not my primary. Could be your primary. But I think having secondary and even tertiary revenue streams in addition to speaking is super
Robin's
important.
ready now.
I remember.
And now something really brilliant.
No, because what you reminded me, the speaking business is not about being on the stage. The speaking business is about creating business. And so many times we forget that part. We really want to be on the stage. But I have a mentor or someone who says, if you're not making 10 phone calls a day, you're never going to have a speaking business. Now that's excessive. However, a lot of times we think that things we do all that we're talking about. We have this brilliant speaking, we have this brilliant speech, we have this brilliant keynote where we did all this training, we know how to deliver, and then we sit and wait for the phone to ring. Oh, it's not gonna ring. So knowing if you want to speak in business, you have to be willing to do the business part. Now, the other thing about Meredith Powell, who stood on that stage with the $1 million business, 40 years experience, she makes 3 phone calls every single day. She stood on that stage and she said that somebody had just referred her to a 6-figure deal. She still, that day, made her 3 phone calls. So that's what you have to know about the speaking business.
There's a sales aspect to it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Sales is the only aspect.
Yeah.
If you can't sell yourself,
Yeah, it's gonna be really challenging if you're not willing to do those. And sometimes it's a grind, but that's what it is.
and I think the thing that I will say last is this. If you're here, you have, most likely, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but most likely there's something in your heart that you feel like you need to share. You have to make sure that you find a way to combine that thing that's in your heart with the thing that people will pay for. We need a Venn diagram, folks. Take your time figuring out how your work improves the world, with who and where. Because just speaking, years ago, you could just be a motivational speaker. That time is not now. That's not how the business is being run right now. So you need to know how you're going to sell your programs, how they benefit the people that you're speaking to, and why people should pay you to get on stage. Having a story that's in your heart is critical. It's not enough. And I don't mean that to be depressing.
It's
The whole
real.
energy of the room just went.
Yeah, no, it's the real.
But
It
there is
real.
that other part of it, so
Yeah.
there needs to be an overlapping Venn
Yep.
diagram of like, I'm very passionate about my topic, but that doesn't matter if it doesn't add value to the people that I'm speaking in front of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
Robin, your time is up.
there are people that come in and say, what are people paying for?
Yeah,
That's
you
what I'm
can't do
going to
that
talk
either.
about. You don't want to do that either.
It has to be a Venn
Yeah,
diagram.
yeah.
Yeah. What's the outcome you want the audience to have as a result of hearing what you have to say? What are they going to be able to do differently? Feel differently, think differently?
Yeah.
All right?
All right. right, so who has a question?
Oh, we had a hand go up before you.
I know. So let's get a microphone.
Do I need a microphone?
You do, because we're videoing and we want everyone to be able to hear the questions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Brown.
Hi, Kimberly Brown.
Nice to meet you. I want to say hi to Mike, too. We actually had a call from Brand Builders back in January.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and you were great one-on-one. I didn't know that you'd be here. For the record.
One-on-one, I'm great. In a group, not so much.
No, got it. I am a speaker and author, and I have a leadership development company. And my question is about when to raise your rates. I feel like I've been speaking for years. I feel good about my fee. I will say that. I feel really good about it. But there's always this notion, I feel like, of people like, oh no, so you feel good, raise it. Raise it again, raise it again, raise it again. How do you go about your methodology of raising your rates? And when is, I don't want to say enough, but is there a milestone when you go up higher?
I think
I love
Kate wants
money.
to take this question.
I love making money, I love building businesses, and I love this question. You raise your rates under two circumstances, in my opinion. One of them is that you're starting to feel resentful when the payment comes in. When you're starting to feel resentful when the payment comes in, it's not enough anymore. That's number one. Number two is that you are so busy you are turning work away. If you are so busy that you're turning work away, you raise your rates. These are the only two circumstances that I believe are super useful. The third one is, this little secret backdoor one is, if you're not charging enough, you need to raise your rates. But that you only find out through trial and error.
Is your question specifically for keynoting or raising rates in general?
Specific to keynoting? I think, yeah, just keynoting.
Okay. Well, I'm going to answer something a little different in case there's others that have the question. Because for keynoting, I've got nothing to add to what Kate said. I agree with all that. In other parts of my business, for the coaching part of my business, one thing that I learned years ago is when I get 3 prospects in a row to pay a certain rate, I raise it.
No matter what?
No, when I get 3 to pay a certain rate, for the next folks, I raise it, and because of that, from a coaching standpoint, over the last 7 years, my fees have more than doubled. And the interesting thing is, as my fees went higher, my prospects asked me fewer questions about my fees. When I was charging this much, I would get questions about how many hours I was spending, and they're trying to calculate my hourly rate. When I was spending this much, when I was charging this much, they'd say, do you have any other clients that I can speak to? Now that I'm charging this much, they say, it's expensive, but this is really important, so let's move forward. I don't get those questions. So there is something to what you charge adding credibility to who you are.
Yeah, I was going to say all 3 of those things, so.
Next question.
Yeah, next question.
I'm Richard Marks. Thank you all very much. I'm a guest from New York City. We didn't really talk about what rates are.
We're actually not allowed to talk about what rates are. There's an antitrust rule within the NSA that prevents us from discussing current fees and fee structures in order to avoid creating a monopoly.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and just as a tip, there's a podcaster, podcast called The Wealthy Speaker. What is her name? Jane Atkinson.
Oh, yeah.
Jane Atkinson. If you go on Jane Atkinson's site, she has a PDF with
Of business.
Yeah. the rates of beginner, intermediate, and experienced speakers.
What's her name again?
Jane Atkinson. Yeah.
And this is a question that people will answer likely in NSA rooms, sort of in
Behind closed
behind
doors.
closed doors, but we will never answer that question in this
And
format.
public.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, yes, next question.
Hey, we're listening to you wave yourself. Wave
Yeah.
yourself.
Sounds good.
Hi, I'm Stacy Sherman. So glad
Hi,
to be here.
Stacy.
She's a member.
So one's a question and one's a tip that relates to everything you said. So the question is, you brought up the video footage. I'm almost done with my speaker reel, which is also a great tip you gave, that if you're not gonna get paid, at least get the video footage. So done that, great tip. Speaker bureaus, when you have your reel, I hear from being at NSA Influence Thrive, the pros and cons of bureaus. So A, what's your view on that? Because I'll have my reel ready. Go there, don't go there, bureaus. I'll pause on that question. You don't have to say
Okay,
anything more.
I'm just
Read
gonna
your body
say
language.
the spiel that everybody says about speaker bureaus, and it's true.
Yeah.
Speaker bureaus do not want you until you don't need them. So the thing is, speaker bureaus are full of celebrity speakers, athletic speakers, and very well-known speakers who have been in the industry for a long time. That's their main client base, that's their main revenue stream. They have a teeny bit of time for new speakers. Very little time for new speakers. So to go after speaker bureaus before you're ready is not a great strategy, because they will not probably look at your reel or anything like that.
Yeah, and the typical rule for many speakers bureaus is that they won't talk to you until you are consistently pulling in $15,000 a keynote. Because they get, I did say money, but that's not what I'm trying.
That's the bureau. It's not
So,
NSA.
because their fee is typically between 20 and 30%. And it's, anything under 15,000 is not actually worth their time. So and by the time you get to that stage and you are consistently making 15,000, to Robin's point, you don't really need them much anymore. Sometimes people still use them as, basically as like a VA, just to get some stuff off their plate. But unless you're at that stage, it's not the time for a speaker bureau.
Fair. Last thing, you brought up podcasts before. So anybody who has a podcast or wants a podcast, that has been the most amazing vehicle in making relationships with the people that you want to do work for. So I just wanted to kind of give a tip, because that's been a great way for me to get gigs through the art of podcasting. Thank you.
All right, next question, come.
The mic's cutting.
That's a cut, yeah.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Diane Bryson, and yes, I'm here because I saw Robin this past weekend at her high school reunion. I'm not going to tell you how long.
10 years.
But I had no idea about the NSA, had no clue. I am a very niche speaker, not yet getting paid, but usually getting audiences that I need so that I could get follow-up business. And I'm getting this also through social media. You just talked about podcasting. And in the 3 calls or the 10 calls to make a day, how much does social media play a role in your looking for business?
There are some people that will say that social media is a waste of time and you should be making phone calls instead. I don't particularly agree with that, because I feel like what social media does is it keeps you in the view of people. And I feel like when those people call me 3-5 years out from something, they're not going to remember it, but I think they're calling me because they saw me on social media. You know, so what the thing is you don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time on your social media, but I feel like it really is important. And in addition, so it's a 2-pronged, probably a 3-pronged strategy of making the phone calls and having great social media out there.
I am fairly certain that I have never gotten a piece of business because of a great social media post. You know, oh my God, Mike, that was brilliant. Where do I send the check? However, I have been over the last 3 years investing some dollars in doing social media better than I was when I had my daughter doing my social media on the weekends. And really upgrading the look and feel of the brand and the content. And while again, I have never gotten a phone call, hey, that was great, where do I send the check? It's amazing how many times I will run into someone or run into a group of people who have no idea what I've been doing the last 2 years, who go, you're doing pretty well. Like, oh my God, your business is taking off. It's like, when have you seen my bank account? But the brand that they see, and the brand is not, it's not a lie, but the brand that they see has given me a level of credibility that I would not have. So how many times have I actually been hired to do a workshop or a keynote or to coach a client? How many times have I been hired and my social media presence has been that thing to push them over, push me over the top to get that work? I don't know that I'll ever know, but I do know it's given me a level of credibility that I never would have otherwise.
Agreed. You had a question? I'll hold my back. Yes, be a speaker. Yes. Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christine Smith. I'm a guest of Valerie Mason Robinson, and I am the Chief Inspiration Officer of Inspira Performing Arts, which is a dance school for children and adults in Newark, Franklin Park, and Satellite North Plainfield. I'm in my 23rd year of my business, and I want to transition into speaking. And I'm nervous and excited at the same time. I'm not a shy person, but I really want to dwell more on how do I make that first step. I did start a podcast in 2020 called God Inspiration. And to my question, what do you think about doing acting classes to help you be a better speaker or get into voiceover?
Yeah, that's Robin.
Yes. Thank you. Follow me on Instagram.
Did you say you were shy?
I'm not shy, but like, you know how you talk about being in front of individuals?
Yeah.
Like, I can dance and all that, but it's just like getting in front of people, but now I'm more comfortable. Clearly.
Yeah. So I guess my question to you is acting classes to be a better speaker, or to, I mean, that's not going to start your speaking business, but it will. I mean, I would actually suggest improv classes. Yeah. Improv classes would be better because it teaches you to be on your feet, it makes you creative and all this stuff. And there's one thing that you said that you want to think about deeply is excavating all the work that you've already done in these like 23 years. Because you probably have a keynote already in there.
Or three.
And or three. So you probably have that. So that's where I would start, in addition to having improv classes, because you pull out, I mean, it's like it's taken me a long time to combine my soap opera writing with my acting with my leadership training. It's another VA moment. But so you have that, and the improv would just make you a little bit more comfortable, but I would actually work more on creating that speech.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaker U.
Yeah.
Like this is, so we have a
Yeah.
Speaker U, which is a speaking university that starts in October, Casey? Casey
Yes,
is the
it
dean.
does.
Casey is the dean of Speaker U. So this is.
There are postcards.
This is actually part of what we help you do, is figure out where is it that I want to start? What is it exactly that I want to say? How do I want to say it? What do I want to look like on stage? How do I want to, all those questions that you have, and what is it that I need? All of those questions you have at the beginning is something that we do. So Casey, do you want to talk about that?
I will.
And by the way, hold on, you guys all thought this was free? See Adam standing by the door?
Adam's got a little jersey on.
Yeah, so we will make sure that everybody gets a postcard with the details of Speaker University. And we have some Speaker University graduates here in the crowd tonight. Yes, we do. And what we do is exactly what Kate said, is if you're looking to build a speaking business and you may not know how to do it, where to go, we give you the foundational building blocks. And we bring in experts who have been doing this for years.
and they may come in and talk about marketing. A very simple thing might be a positioning statement, which is, how do I verbalize and articulate what I do, who I help, and how I serve them? So we get really granular with it. What we're going to do a little differently this time around is spend more time on practice, where you will be standing up articulating what you do, what your message is, and who you serve. So we are starting in October. I'm all about community. So when I think about Speaker University, what makes it work is the community. Wouldn't you all say, graduates?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Is that in person or virtual?
It's both. So thank you, Aisha. We've got postcards that have more detail. I'm gonna hang around after we finish the panel part, and you can grab me or anybody up here, and we can tell you about Speaker University.
Yeah. Somebody standing.
Yes, has a question.
Is that, oh, Christina. Hi, Christina.
Miss Hollywood.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. I'm Christine. Oh, you know that already. So, quick question. Mike, right? You did a TED Talk. So I'm doing a TED Talk in a couple of months, and I'm curious, thank you, and I'm curious if that's helped your speaking career at all.
Yes, but maybe not in the way that you would think, or maybe not in the way you'd hope. I do think, similar to my answer for social media, I'm not sure I'll ever know how many folks that have hired me because they kind of liked me, they were ready to make a decision, not sure, and then saw the TEDx. So I really don't know how it's impacted, but here's the major thing, is, as I've said a few times, keynoting is not my primary business model, and therefore, for a long time, I looked at keynoters, including the folks on the stage, and I'm like, well, I don't do what they do, and I'm not really a keynoter, I'm more of a workshop guy. Well, when I got up and did my TEDx, and I'm really proud of it, and if you want, do a Google search on Mike Goldman TEDx, and you will find it. I'm super proud of it. When I did my TEDx, with a whole bunch of other really good speakers on that same stage, I got off the stage, and for the first time, I said, you know what? I've been saying for years, I want to be a keynote speaker. I'm a friggin' keynote speaker. The confidence it gave me, and frankly, the training I got. Now, every TEDx location is different. This one, I had a coach that was super helpful. I'm glad I didn't know until the last week that the way he made money is he delivered for DoorDash. Or I would have said, why am I listening to this guy? But he was really good. And he did some other things, but his primary revenue stream was DoorDash. But that's okay. I learned so much. So I think I learned a ton. It gave me a level of confidence that I had never had before in speaking. And I'll never know, I recommend it all the time to clients and potential clients who watch it and love it. So has it had an impact? I can't put a number on it, but it's definitely had an impact.
I have a follow-up, Christina. What is it that you want the TEDx talk to do for you?
Brene Brown me.
Right, yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, that's pretty much, I'm not sure what I want to do.
Okay, fair.
Well,
Yeah.
somebody had influence, or somewhere before influence, somebody said something that I don't know whether it was true or not, but they said that bureaus are looking for TEDx speakers. So.
I have a friend from TEDx, the guy who got me into Delaware, and he said, he's the one who got me in. He said, you have to do this for your book. My first book from 5 years ago. I'm relaunching it, second edition. And so he said, you have to do it, because he said when he did his, it like over doubled his revenue for his business, and it helped him with his business so much that he is preparing to do another TEDx now, soon, I think. So he's adamant about how well it helped his business, and he was pretty strong in wanting me to do it. He's like, you gotta do this thing.
Yeah, it's also about how you use
He's
it.
looking out for
And
me.
you'll hear from the speaker community, you'll hear both sides.
Yeah.
You'll hear people say exactly what you're saying, and people say,
Waste of time.
Yeah, whatever. So it really is how well you use it, first of all.
A few months.
Yeah, it's how well you use it. It gives you good video. It gives you high quality video, which is important. How well you market it, how well you use it, and also whether or not they choose you to end up on the full TED website. Like one of our members just got put on the front page of TED's website this past week, Hannah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be great for her because it's going to get her a ton of exposure, but you don't automatically get exposure from a TEDx. So it's about what you're going to do with it, how you're going to work it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like a maybe sort of thing.
Right. We'll find out.
Yeah, we will. Can't wait. All right.
All right, question?
Last one, I think, right? 8 o'clock?
Yeah, we're at 8.
Yep.
Hi. Good.
Hi, everybody. My name is Christina Ioannidis. I just have a quick question. You had mentioned about making calls. Who do you, or how do you sort of figure out?
Who are you gonna call?
Yeah, how are you gonna sort of like drill it down to whether it be paid or free, just sort of get your name out there, and then once you do, how do you initially position the call?
That's a discussion that goes so deep in so many different directions. However, it all depends on what you're after. If you're after the free, and there are lists. I mean, one place to start is associations. There are a billion associations in this country, down to, I mean, I have a list, and it's like the Bowling Association, the Veterinary Medicine Association, the mechanics who make book jacket association. You know, it's like
Balloon Animal Association. A balloon animal association.
yes, there are associations for everything, and you can actually like Google associations. They will come up. Then you make a list of all the people that are like the executive directors or the event managers, and then that's who. Then you look on their site. It's a process. Then you look on their site and you find out who they've had speak in the past, whether they're comparable to you, whether they look like they're paid or is like. Then you find something that you have in common and you write either an email or you call them up and you just have a very quick message that says, "Hi, I'm calling from New York City. I'm a professional speaker. I'm wondering if your event is looking for anybody," or something like that. It's complicated and simple. But you can also Google, you can look at other speakers and see where they're speaking, and then Google the conferences that they're speaking at and do that same whole process.
There's also a different type of phone call, because frankly, and part of this is because Keynote's not my primary, I don't have the time or patience to be making 2 or 3 or 10 calls a day, and I'm too impatient, but I will say it works for a lot of people. So I'm not putting it down because it doesn't work for me. So the other type of phone call, and I actually have time blocked out starting next week to do this, is I have my 3rd book that's going to be coming out in 2025. So it's going to be very important for me to get on more stages. So as opposed to making all those cold calls, what I have done is I made a list of all of my clients, all of my past clients, all of the places I've spoken before, all of the Vistas shares whose group I've talked to, all of the people I've interviewed on my podcast, and on and on and on. It's a long list of people. Those are the folks I'm calling to say, hey, I've got this going on, I'm looking to get on more stages. As a reminder, here's the kind of value I add, and here's the kind of audiences I talk to. What organizations are you a part of that you might be willing to introduce me to? What conferences do you go to? Those calls are easier for me to make, and you're going to be, if you have, whether you have a network of 10 people or 1,000 people, those are the calls that you're going to have a much better hit rate on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that's the only calls you need to make, but don't neglect those.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, cold calls, warm call, because what Mike is talking about are warm calls. Cold calls rarely do much, but they get yourself out there. Another way is like, what do you have to offer? One of the things that I've been doing lately is finding articles that might be helpful to meeting planners or meeting bureaus, and then sending them that article. You know, because what it is it's not like, here, hire me for a speaker. It's like, I want to be of service to you. And then your name is out there, and then they think, I just did that, and I got a bureau call me back, and now we're working together. So yeah.
And I think lastly, because we are wrapping up, on the time,
I'm Nazi.
the time, I will not use that word. When you are already speaking, there is a tool specifically designed for speakers called Talk-A-Dot. And it is a QR code that you put up at the end towards the end of your speech in order for people to give you feedback. And as they give you feedback, there's a series of questions that say, do you hire speakers? Would you be able to refer me for a speech? Can I reach out to you after this session? And it will populate you with a list of people that you can contact after you've given a speech. So over the past, since February of last year, the things that I've used Talk-A-Dot for, I have about 1,200 people that have filled out my form. And of those 1,200 people, there's about 250 people that have said they'd either hire me or refer me. Those are the people I'm calling.
Yeah. Me too. Talk-A-Dot is fantastic.
If you want to talk a lot, Talk-A-Dot.
Yeah. Is that
T-O-T?
Yes.
Talk-A-Dot, just like it sounds.
Yep.
And there's a free version and a paid version.
Yep.
What do you all think about Toastmasters?
We actually partner with Toastmasters because we do not teach people how to speak, and we don't. And you're not like Speaker U goes through some of the information of how to pull out from you, but Toastmasters is specifically designed to help you be a better speaker. So we are pro Toastmasters, and if that is going to be useful for you, we think you should do it.
Okay.
We agree on that, yeah.
Yep.
Casey,
Absolutely.
wrap us up.
Was this a good investment in your time this evening?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes? All right, so I thank you very much for being with us tonight, for lending your energy to the room. And how about a thank you to our panel? And to Jonathan. And I, of course, am Casey Carpenter, your moderator.
So who's had a good time here tonight? Yes. All right, I am going to just wrap things up. That did not work. I just slid this open, and it didn't do it. It went to sleep. It went to sleep.
The guy at the Rotary Club.
I know. Right? Yep. Do we have our slide? All right. Maybe. All right, well, while we're waiting for that, if you enjoyed tonight's session, we were very happy to come here and share our panelist knowledge with you. Every single month, as I mentioned before, we have a meeting in New York City. We have a guest speaker. They share their knowledge, they share their expertise. We have a fantastic community who is supportive and encouraging folks there to answer your questions one-on-one. We have an official and an unofficial, the color is not right, but that's okay, membership program. So if you are interested in coming to one of our events or becoming a member, you can certainly speak with any of the members of the board here this evening, your panelists, your moderator, Adam or Aisha in the back. And there is a QR code over here where you can find out more info if you want more info. My computer is also not moved forward anymore. All right, so yes, got questions, please feel free to reach out. There's two ways to become a member. We have a monthly membership and also an annual, so it's up to your choice. Everyone mentioned this evening Speaker University. We do have a registration open at the moment, and there is a QR code there that you can pull up for details and to register. It's going to help you take your business to the next level, get started, as everyone discussed earlier, so please feel free to join us. There is an early bird special, and there is a difference in price for members and non-members. So if it is something that you're interested in, please do consider being a member, coming to our monthly meetings, and signing up using the early bird registration. A couple more things. We've got some fantastic speakers coming up over the next couple of months. Hopefully you have better microphones systems than I've got going on right now. We've got September 13th. You've got 7 seconds, make them count. We also have a director of tourism coming in for New York City, of sales to speak about conventions, setting up events, etc. in the city. They're going to do a fireside chat, so it's going to be excellent. A lot of very, intense content there. We also have virtual mastermind sessions. So in addition to our monthly meetings where we learn from experts, our panelist this evening, Robin Hatcher, she leads our mastermind sessions where members can come on, ask questions, try to implement what's being learned in the monthly meetings. So you get a lot of one-on-one attention, questions and answers, floated out there, and you get a lot of personalized information if you come to these sessions. We also have monthly virtual master classes, and that is a virtual session, so you don't need to come into the city, where we learn the business of speaking. So we have folks coming in to teach you about marketing, to teach you about how to hire a virtual assistant, a lot of the underpinnings of a successful speaking business that you won't learn anywhere else. So that's another member benefit. So you can visit our website. All of what I just shared here is there. You can certainly follow us on social. Thank you to whoever mentioned social media. I got to take a photo back there to add to the group Instagram. And we'll be sticking around here to answer questions, to chat with you. So please feel free to grab a couple more nibbles at the back, a little drink, and thank you so much for coming, and we hope to see you next time.